I wanted to talk briefly today about the power of meditation and how cultivating even a few minutes a day of meditation can make a major impact on our daily lives and how fit we feel physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I wanted to come back to a video that I had made last week. I spent 6 or 7 minutes just talking about how um, 10 years of twice daily meditation made a major impact on the way that I saw myself and saw myself in relation to the rest of the world. I want to elaborate a little bit about on that today and take some time to talk about two things, two major changes that have taken place. One in terms of habits and one in terms of relationships. So but let's start with just maybe 5 deep breaths here, and then we'll launch off into the discussion a little bit after we have taken some time just to settle down and settle in. Our first deep breath we can take, bringing a smile to our face, thinking a positive thought. And the second deep breath in silence, coming back to the heart. Third deep breath, I am calm, I am content. Fourth deep breath in silence. Fifth and final deep breath, I am calm, I am content, I am cool, I am calmed down. So I really consider it a privilege to be able to take a little bit of time to talk about the power of meditation. It's something that we see discussed now in various journals, scientific and about psychology and a number of other things. Even in popular magazines and so on, we see a number of articles on the subject of meditation, and for good reason. Even very, very simple meditations like the one we just did, doing 5 deep breaths, contemplating a positive thought, can make a big difference in how that hour goes for us. And I've been teaching at Lincoln Middle School, and I start each class with just a little bit of breath work like that. It makes a big difference. Now, as we will see, if we make up our minds to make it a habit to go deeper with our own practice, say, making up our minds that we're going to spend 5 or 10 minutes a day in deep practice, or even just do our daily rhythm of 5 deep breaths in the morning, 5 deep breaths in the evening, and just take some time to reflect. That can be a really, really solid way to get started on the path. Why? Well, when we take that time to just pause and enjoy the beauty of feeling calmness in our own soul, in our own heart and body and mind, then we begin to see that there is an alternative for us to kind of going with the flow, of being caught up in the resistance we feel from our family, from our friends, and so on, to kind of always keep on the go, to always keep bouncing off of each other. And if we can just pause and unplug for a minute, we begin to see that there is this alternative. So, again, I want to talk about these two advantages that come from daily meditation. The first is habits, okay, and the second is relationships. Now, the first habit that we cultivate of daily meditation is something that can trigger a number of other habits in a positive way. They can help us to replace bad habits with positive ones, such as, for example, this is very common. Once we get started with a little bit of breath work ourselves daily, we might find, now I find myself being drawn towards more wholesome foods. Okay, so that might trigger a change in our behavior in terms of what we eat, and also, for example, might help us get started with a simple regimen for exercise. So once we start with something that's good for us, and good for us in body and mind and soul, this connection that is very subtle, then we begin to be able to make these other connections. I want to feel good. I'm feeling good now. How can I keep that going? And we begin to make these little suggestions to ourselves that really begin to stick. This is an amazing process because I'm going to put in a little bit of philosophy in a quote here from one of the meditation masters from some time ago. Her name is was Kudala, and she was a queen who was also a yogi and became fully enlightened through her practice long before her king husband was able to get there. And the story comes from Vasista's Yoga. Maharshi talks about Queen Kudala and King Sikadvaja, so we know that they are historical figures, just like Vasista and Rama, where we find this particular text in Vasista's Yoga. So anyway, when we look at Kudala and her enlightenment, she said to her king, when he began to notice these changes in her, he said, "Why are you so happy? Why are you so bliss filled?" And she said, "I rejoice in myself, hence I am radiant." And we might think that this is a little bit strange, but if we take just a moment to feel what she was feeling, and I think that's a big part of the meditation process, is just to feel, pause, take a deep breath, and feel that. I rejoice in myself, my true self, hence I am radiant. There's a kind of connection that takes place in us as we dare to dive deep where the meditation masters like Kudala, like Rama, like Yogananda, Christ, and Krishna have gone. And as we begin to feel that current for ourselves, we begin to assimilate, okay, these patterns of behavior that help us to change habits that might have been entrenched, who knows, for lifetimes, at least for many years, that begin to erode subtly, gradually, as we focus this positive energy upon them and get beyond them. So habits are one area where we find a lot of progress in terms of meditative principles when we take just a few minutes a day, maybe even starting with just 1 minute a day, a few deep breaths, feeling good as we breathe, and allowing that to be enough. The next day or the next week or the next month, we might say, well, let me go a little deeper. I'll do 10 deep breaths. I'll put in one affirmation, and I'll just try to quiet the mind and focus it on a single positive thought. This kind of effort, self-effort, can be profoundly, profoundly transformative, not only in terms of habits, but as our second point we'll talk about now, with relationships. Now, when the relationships begin to be influenced by more and more positive habits, more and more positive behavior, and positive intuitive constructs, we look at something that's going on that had been bothering us, or maybe irritating us on some level, and we begin to see, well, here's a solution in just maintaining a little bit more aloofness, or a little bit more compassion, or maybe it's something that was bad enough we are able to give ourselves the credence to just walk away for a while. Give it 5 minutes, give it an hour, and come back and we feel refreshed. These kinds of principles of giving credence to our true self, giving that logic of love free entry into our relationships, gives us space to consider what we need and to go for that. And we begin to find our relationships opening up. And just like with Queen Kudala, when the king asked her, "What's come over you? How come you're so cheerful? How come you're so on point so much of the time?" And she said, "I rejoice in myself. That's enough for me." So as she went a little bit deeper in that process, she found that radiance of joy was something that she could share with her king. And as the story goes, the king actually ended up leaving the kingdom and living as an anchorite on a river, just counting his beads, doing his japa, repeating the name of Rama or something like this, or Om, and trying very hard to purify his mind. 18 years went by, and finally Kudala appeared to him in a disguise and helped to tutor him towards the final realization of the self. Very, very interesting story, and one that I've adapted in one of my books. I made a novella out of this particular chapter from Vasista's Yoga. Look for that to be posted soon. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to share. But it's true, 10 years of twice daily meditation has made a big, big difference in how I feel in my own soul. I hope that it inspires you on some level, and I look forward to remaining in dialogue and continuing to grow with each and every one of you. Namaste, Divine Souls. Peace out.